So in this video, we're going to look at rounding to decimal places. We're going to look at 1, 2, and 3 decimal places. We are going to cover all these examples on this list. So we're also going to look at what happens when you've got something like 1.9, what happens to the 9 when you round that up. So let's make a start. The way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You're then going to press pause and have a go at the example on the right, which is you do. So the first question here is asking us to round to 1 decimal place. So when it says 1 decimal place, we're going to hop 1 to the right and draw a line. And if it said 2 decimal places, you hop 2 to the right. So in this case, we're going to draw a line right there. Now, the number after the line, which is the 5, is called the decider. This is going to decide whether the number before the line, which is the 2, is going to get rounded up or down. So now, because the number after the line is 5, so if that number is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we round up. So in this case, our answer becomes 1.3. So the answer is given to 1 decimal place, as that says. Now this is written to 1 decimal place. It's just got 1 digit after the decimal place. So press pause and have a go at the example on the right. So hopefully you've had a go. So it says round to 1 decimal place. You're going to draw a line after the first digit. Then you're going to use the decider, which is the number after the line. So in this case, the decider is 5. Because the decider is 5 or more, we're going to round up. So this 3 becomes a 4. So our answer is 1.4. Moving on. So this also says round to 1 decimal place. You're going to draw a line after the first decimal place, which is there. You're then going to look at the decider. In this case, the decider is not 5 or more. It is not 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. The decider is 4. So that means we are going to leave the 0 as it is, and our answer becomes 4.0. We do not need to round the 0 up. Now press pause and have a go at the example on the right. So again, draw the line after the first decimal place. Look at the decider. Is the decider 5, 6, 7, or 8? No, it's not. So we're going to leave our answer as it is. We're not rounding, so that's going to be 5.0. And note here, the answer is 5.0. 5 is not going to be allowed because the question says round to 1 decimal place. So you need to give your answer to 1 decimal place. So the correct answer in this case is this one and not this one. So with this one, again, it says round to 1 decimal place. We're going to draw a line after the first decimal place, which is there. We're then going to look at the decider, which is 8. Now, because the decider is 5 greater than or equal to 5, we're going to round up. So the 7 becomes an 8. So our answer is 5.8. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. If we draw a line, we look at the decider. So the decider in this case is 5, which means we're going to round the number before the line up. So this 5 becomes a 6. So our answer here is 5.6. Moving on, we now have 3 digits after the decimal place, but it's the same rules. It says round to 1 decimal place, go to the first digit after the decimal place and draw a line. Then look at your decider. So in this case, the decider is 5. So that means you're going to round the 2 up to a 3. So our answer becomes 1.3 to 1 decimal place. Again, hopefully you've had a go at this. Draw your line after the first decimal place. Look at the decider. If the decider is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you round up the number before. So this 2 becomes a 3. So our answer here is 1.3. Now moving on. Now this one, again, you draw your line after the first decimal place. The decider is telling us that we need to round the 5 up. So that becomes a 6. So the answer is 5.6. Again, draw your line. Look at the decider. So in this case, the decider is 4. So that means we leave the number as it is. So it's going to become 5.1. We do not round up. Moving on. In this case, you have 5.555. The decider is a 5. So if I just highlight the decider, which is the number after the line. So this becomes a 6. So that is 5.6 here. And in this case, the decider is 7. So that means you round the 5 up to a 6. And it becomes 4.6. Now we have 10.25. Again, draw your line after the first decimal point, and that is going to be, let me just highlight that. So that's the decider there. Now the decider is telling me I need to round the 2 up, so that's going to become a 3. So our answer is 10.3. Again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. Again, here the decider is 5. It's telling us that we round this 3 up to a 4. So our answer to 1 decimal place becomes 15.4. And again, draw your line, look at your decider. Now the decider here is telling me to round this up, so that becomes 145.2 to 1 decimal place. Again, draw your line, look at the decider, which is the number after the line. Now, In this case, the decider is telling us to leave the answer as it is, so that's 197.0. Again, you have to have the 0.0 because it says round to one decimal place, so you cannot write 197 on its own. So, again, with this one, draw the line after the first decimal place, look at the decider, so the decider is telling us to leave it as it is, so that's 456.2, no need for rounding. So here, again, draw the line, look at the decider. In this case, the decider is a 5, so we round the 1 up to a 2, so that becomes 660.2. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So we are looking at a case with, well, what do you do when there's a 9? So let's draw a line, as always, one decimal place, draw the line. Now look at the decider. So the decider is telling us we're going to round the 9 up. So when you round the 9 up, what comes after 9? It's a 10. So this 9 is going to become a 0, and we're going to carry 1 over onto the 1. So we're going to do 1 plus 1 here, and that becomes a 2. So our answer becomes 2.0. So again, just to repeat there, the 9 rounds up, the 9 becomes a 10. So we put the 0, let me just use a different color here actually. That becomes a 0, and the 1 carries over here. So our answer becomes 2.0. Again, press pause and have a go at this. Draw the line there. Look at the decider. Decider is 5 or more. In this case, it's 6. So we round the 9 up to a 10. So there's a 0 here. A 1 carries over. Now 2 plus 1 is 3. So our answer here is going to be 3.0. So in this case, again, we look at the decider. That's telling me to round this 9 up to a 10. So there's a 0 here and a 1 here. And now when I do 1 plus 9 here, that becomes a 10. So my answer is going to be 10.0. Again, it needs to be 0.0, not 10. 10 is not allowed because it's to one decimal place. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So looking at the decider again, the decider is 6. So that's telling me I need to round the 9 up to a 10. Put the 1 there, carries over. So this becomes a 2. So that is going to be 1, 2. So it's 12.0. So as usual, draw the line. Look at the decider. That's telling me the 9 rounds up to a 10. So that's a 0. The 1 carries over. So this becomes a 7. So that's going to be 257.0. Again, draw a line. Look at the decider after the first decimal point. That's telling me the 9 is going to round up to 10. So there's a 0 there. 1 carries over. 6 plus 1 is 7. So that's going to be 97.0. Now press pause and have a go at all these practice questions, rounding to one decimal place. When you're ready, press play for the answer. Here are the answers, mark your work. Now if you are finding this video useful so far, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Now we're going to look at 2 and 3 decimal places later on. So now we're rounding to 2 decimal places, so we're now going to move 2 digits after the decimal place and draw the line there. Okay, again, the same rules apply. We're going to look at the decider, which is the number after the line. Now the decider is telling me the 4 rounds up to a 5, so the answer here is going to be 1.25. Now again, we're rounding to 2 decimal places, so hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this one. Look at the decider after the line, so in this case it's a 5. That's telling me to round the 8 up to a 9, so that's going to be 1.29. So again, to 2 decimal places, draw your line, look at your decider, so that 5 is telling me that I'll round this up to a 6, so the answer is 4.56 to 2 decimal places. Again, hopefully you've had a go at this one. So you draw your line, look at the decider. So in this case, we don't need to do anything. It does not round up. So the answer is 4.50. Again, be careful. The answer is not 4.5 because it says 2 decimal places. So you do need the 0. 19. So again, sorry, not sure where I said 19 there. So round to 2 decimal places, draw your line there. Look at the decider. Decider is a 9. So that means the number before the line rounds up. So that becomes 7.46. Again, draw your line. The decider is telling me, so if I just highlight the decider, that the number before the line is going to round up. So that's going to become 7.10. Again, draw a line. Look at our decider. So that's going to become a 5 there. So that's 10.25 to 2 decimal places. Draw your line. Look at the decider, so that's telling me this is going to become 7, so that's going to be 11.37 there. Again, draw your line, look at the decider, so that's telling me this 5 is going to round up to a 6, so that's 155.56. Draw your line, look at the decider, so that is going to be 234.85, so that is going to round up to a 5 there. Again, to 2 decimal places, so the 6 rounds up to a 7 because the decider is a 9. So that's going to become 4521.87. Again, draw your line. So in this case, the decider is a 4. Since the decider is less than 5, we're just going to leave that as it is. Again, you do need this 0 because it says round to 2 decimal places, so remember to include that. So now we're going to look at the case with a 9. So now the decider is a 5. It's telling me to round the 9 up. When I round the 9 up, I get 10. So the 1 carries over. We do 4 plus 1, that's 5. So my answer is 1.50. That 0 is important. So in this case, hopefully you've had a go at this. So the decider is a 6. That's telling me the 9 rounds up. So after 9 is 10. 2 plus 1 there is 3. So my answer is 2.30. Again, draw the line. Look at the decider. So in this case, the decider is less than 5. So I'll leave the answer as that. Draw the line. Look at the decider. So in this case, the decider is 5 or more. So that means I'm going to round the 9 up. So that becomes a 0. 1 carries over. That becomes a 9. So that's 11.90. 2 decimal places. Draw the line there. After 2 decimal places, look at the decider. That's telling me around the 9 up. That becomes a 0. 1 carries over. So this is going to become a 1. So that's 100.10. Again, this 0 is important because it's 2 decimal places. So don't leave that off. So rounding this to 2 decimal places. So look at the decider. It's a 6. That's going to tell me I'm rounding the 9 up. So this 9 becomes a 10. So a 0 there. 1 carries over. 9 plus 1 here is 10. So a 0 here. 1 carries over. The 6 plus 1 is a 7. So this is going to be 97.00. So now we're rounding to 3 decimal places. So you want to move the line, draw the line after the 3rd digit. So the line is now going to go there. The decider is a 3. So we're going to leave that as it is. No need for rounding. Write your answer to 3 decimal places. Again, there's no need for rounding here. To leave your answer as it is, 10.251. So the 3rd decimal place, draw your line there. Look at the decider. So this 9 becomes a 10, 1 carries over, 9 becomes a 10 again, 1 carries over, the 8 becomes a 9, so the answer is 9.900. 3 decimal places. Again, hopefully you've had a press pause and had a go at this. So the decider is a 4, so that means there's no need for rounding. We leave the answer as that. So to 3 decimal places with this one, the decider is a 3, so we leave the answer as that, no need for rounding. So in this case, the decider is an 8, so we're going to round this 3 up to a 4. So that is 185.924. So press pause and have a go at these practice questions. When you're ready, press play for the answers. Here are the answers, mark your work, and that is the end of the video. Hopefully you found this video useful, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.